Hello students, this is Vaishali Joshi, a faculty in School of Finance and Commerce, Galgotias University. I welcome you all to this lecture series. The name of the course is Organizational Theory and Behavior and course code is MCOM 1001. We will be discussing the first lecture in Unit 5, the concept of organizational culture. So let's start our discussion.
Culture is one of the key ingredients for the success of an organization. Every successful business has a very strong culture. Now, if I have to define culture in a layman's language, I would say that culture is the way things are done in an organization. And every organization does things differently. Now, culture is a term which is difficult to express, and many authors have given different definitions of it, but one can know it when one sees it or senses it. From the way the building of an organization appears, or when you walk into an organization and you see receptionists behaving in a certain way, employees talking to each other in a certain way. Now, these are all the manifestations of culture. Culture is a set of values, beliefs, and knowledge that members of a community share in common. Culture is definitely not built in a day. In fact, one of the famous researchers, Hofstede, who's done a lot of study in the field of organizational culture, says that culture is to a group of people what personality is to an individual. And therefore, culture defines the identity of a group in the same way personality defines identity of an individual. Culture shows employees what is appropriate behavior, what is expected of them, and culture also separates one organization from the another. Now, culture serves a lot of functions. Let's look at them one by one. Culture provides a collective identity to the members of the organization. It is because of the organizational culture that people have a sense of belongingness to a certain organization. It sets the way people would be working with each other. So, in a way, it sets the working relationships of the people within the organization. It is the culture which separates one organization from the another organization. Hence, it sets the boundary between organizations. Culture reinforces the values in the organization. Once culture gets created by early founder, it has to be passed on from generations to generations so that the same values remain intact. Culture facilitates commitment to something larger than self-interest. It's because of the organizational culture that people are able to uplift themselves from their individual goals and think of the organization. It is the culture which defines what kind of behavior is expected from an employee. How an employee is supposed to know which type of behavior is acceptable and which is not acceptable? It is only through culture. Hence, culture serves as a control mechanism for controlling and shaping behavior of the members of the organization. Now, to analyze the culture of an organization, many researchers have given theories of how organizational culture should be looked at. Now, these various theories help the leaders of an organization to analyze their culture and see which part of it they need to work on. Now, just like Hofstede had compared culture like the personality of an individual to the personality of an individual, same way Ed Gersheim, one of the famous social psychologists, had defined culture as having three layers. He compared culture of an organization to the iceberg. So according to him, just like an iceberg has many layers, same way the organizational culture has three layers. It consists of artifacts, beliefs and values, and assumptions. So here is a representation of the three layers of the organizational culture: artifacts, beliefs and values, and assumptions. Now, artifacts are the most visible top layer. Then comes beliefs and values, which are lesser visible than artifacts. And these include officially expressed values of organizational culture. The bottommost layer is called assumptions. Now, this layer of organizational culture is not visible at all. This manifests in the behavior of the employees of the organization. So if we compare organizational culture to an iceberg, so the topmost part of the iceberg will be called artifacts. These are the physical manifestations of a culture. Everything that can be explicitly seen and noticed, like the building of an organization or their logos, or the way interior design of office is done, or the way employees are dressed up, the way receptionist receives the customers, or the way receptionist and employees talk to each other. These are all physical manifestations of the culture and hence called artifacts, the topmost layer in Shine's model of organizational culture. So artifacts are all the things that are physical manifestation of the organization. It is how organization wants to appear to the outside world. These consist of things that management wants to show to the outside world. These are easily observable features. For example, Google's Play Office. Whenever you walk into a Google's Play office, you would notice that their sitting arrangements are done in a very playful manner. Same way, celebration of certain events like Women's Day, Independence Day are all signs that management wants to give to the outside world and hence consist of artifacts. Beliefs and values are the second layer in Shine's model of organizational culture. It refers to what management says that it does. Although it is less visible than the artifacts, which is the topmost layer, yet it is still visible than assumptions, the bottommost layer. Now you can find the beliefs and values which are clearly expressed by the organization. It refers to all the formal rules expressed on websites or annual reports. So anything that is expressed publicly by the organization. These are the principles which organizations themselves have announced to the world that they claim to live by. Basic assumptions are the third and bottommost layer of organizational culture in Shine's model. Now, basic assumptions are the things that management actually does. These are invisible, especially to the outsiders, and many times even the employees working in an organization are not consciously aware of those behaviors. Now, there may be certain customs and practices which are followed by people, and those are not clearly mentioned in the rule book or on the website anywhere. It is so much a part of everybody's everyday culture that it is difficult for even them to recognize these basic assumptions. For example, the company may be mentioning on their official website that work is delivered to the customer on the very same day. But actually, all the employees have a habit to leave office at 4 p.m. no matter whether the work is completed or not. So this is an example of basic assumption. Creation of organizational culture. Now it would be common sense to believe that any organization's culture would begin with the earliest leader or the founder of the organization. Now in the beginning days of the organization, the leader, the founder of the organization would have some particular ideas or values, and once those values give some positive result or bring success to the organization, the founder would want those values to be carried out throughout the life of the organization. So to conclude, it is the founder or the early leader of the organization who creates the organizational culture. Now, once the leader has brought in certain values to the organization, it is very important that the process of institutionalization takes place. Now, what do you mean by institutionalization? Institutionalization happens when the values become immortal. So many leaders may come and go, but the value of the organization remains same. So this is how the values gain immortality and the organizational culture gets created. Now, once the creation of organizational culture takes place, it is very important to take certain steps so that that culture gets maintained in the organization. For example, selection of employees. Now, while hunting for employees, it is very important that top leaders do keep in mind that they select only those employees whose values and beliefs matches with the values of organization. Same way, once employees get selected, it is very important that they get to know the culture of the organization closely, and that happens through socialization process, which we will discuss in more detail later. Then thirdly, action of top management. Now, whatever top management says and does has to be done very carefully, since they establish certain norms that filter down throughout the organization. Now let's look at the process of socialization in detail. When a new employee joins the organization, he is not at all aware of the culture of the organization. There are certain steps that need to be taken so that the employee becomes familiar with the culture of the organization. That whole process of introducing a new employee to the culture of organization is known as socialization. Now there are three steps involved in the process of socialization, namely pre-arrival, encounter, and metamorphosis. So pre-arrival stage is the stage when employee has not even joined the organization. So basically it is the interview and selection stage. Second is the encounter stage. This is the stage when employee actually joins the organization. And third is the metamorphosis stage, also known as transformation stage. We will be looking at all these three steps in more detail further. As an outcome of socialization process, the employee will increase his productivity and commitment towards organization. The pre-arrival stage is the stage that occurs even before a new worker joins the organization. So now here we are talking about actually the interview and the selection stage. So while selecting the employee for the organization, a leader has to keep in mind that not only he should be looking at the talents and skills of the employee, but also at the values and belief system of the employee. And only when the values and beliefs and manners matches, then only he should be selected. Now suppose a leader is in a situation where he has 3-4 candidates who have the same talents, so he will select only that employee whose values matches with the organization's values. Such factors must be taken care at the selection stage only, and finally only those candidates must be selected who fit into the organization's culture. Second stage is the encounter stage. Now once an employee gets selected, he joins the organization. Once an employee joins the organization, it is known as the encounter stage. He gets to know the organization in real. So this is his reality check, and there may be differences in his expectations and reality.
Let's start the discussion on the first value, that is openness. So openness signifies the transparent environment in an organization. A company or organization that practices the value of openness will allow its employees the freedom to communicate, share, and interact without hesitation. It will always encourage feedback from its customers and give ideas and suggestions to its team members as well. So the next is the value of confrontation. We all know that the employees of an organization face many problems in the day-to-day work. Now, confrontation refers to the ability to solve the problem and find the best solution to get over it, rather than stepping back to escape the problem. Facing the problems and challenges boldly and not shying away is the main theme of confrontation. An organization which is high on this dimension encourages people to recognize a problem and search for possible ways of dealing with it. This increases the problem-solving capabilities of its employees. Next is the value of proactively. Now, proaction means anticipating issues in advance and acting upon it. So basically, organizations must be proactive in terms of their planning. They must be ready for future. So organizations that practice proaction encourages its employees to take initiative, engage in pre-planning, and take preventive actions for future. Employees are encouraged to be ready for any uncertainty that may arise in future. Next value is value of collaboration in Octapace. Collaboration involves working together in a team for a common cause. So generally, organizations that are high on this dimension, there the employees have a spirit of sacrifice for the sake of each other and for larger organizational goals. Individuals solve their problems and share their concerns with one another, as well as prepare strategies and implement them together. Organizations high in collaboration have people who are willing to go to any extent to help each other to make sure that the larger organizational goals do not suffer at personal cost. So, when an organization practices collaboration, their people are helpful and have improved communication and resource sharing. So next value that we are going to discuss is the value of experimenting. So basically, experimentation is the orientation on the part of the employees to try out new ways of doing things. Experimentation characterizes a risk-taking culture. Now we all know the importance of risk. Without risk, there will not be any growth. So without experimentation, there is very little scope for innovation and creativity. So an organization that is high on experimentation will involve encouraging a culture of innovation and creativity to solve the problems. So an organization which encourages experimentation will see frequent development of new products, new methods and procedures of doing the same work.